2020 heats up as we enter the semi-finals of the AFC Under-23 Championship. It's rematch version coming to you from the Raja Mangala Stadium ahead of the first semi-final match between West and Central Asia. It's Saudi Arabia who face Uzbekistan first, who finally found their rhythm in this competition version after defeating UAE 5-1 in the quarterfinals. Coming off a performance like that, Julovic's team must believe that they can make it into the finals.
Yeah, they must believe that. With the performance against the UAE, it was really impressive. And as we said at the time, that was the Uzbekistan side that we've heard so much about, that we haven't quite seen in this competition so far. In the group stages, I didn't think they performed up to the expectations, up to the quality that they do have available to them in the squad. But it was great for them to show up in that quarterfinal game against the UAE, and to their credit, going that goal down, bouncing back after a tricky spell, opening 10-15 minutes or so in that game, and showing us what they're all about, finding lovely little spaces, nice rotations of positions, and having that killer touch as well, and in the second half controlling that game against the UAE. Now, in this game against Saudi Arabia, they're going to be coming up against a side who have shown great defensive resolve in this competition so far, so I don't expect them to be finding the same amount of spaces in this game, and then we'll see if we've really seen the best of Uzbekistan, if they're really growing as the competition goes on, or whether that game against the UAE was just a little bit of giving us a little bit of a false impression of them.
Yeah, a little disadvantage though for Uzbekistan is the fact that they do have one less days of rest compared to Saudi Arabia. In a tournament like this, where physically, mentally, you need to be prepared every single game, how much of a difference does a day make?
Yeah, one fewer day it can make a big difference, and it can have an impact, especially with Uzbekistan when you think of the fact that they've not actually made many changes to their starting 11 throughout the matches, but now they're at a point where they're so close to touching the Olympics almost. You win this game, that's it, qualification is guaranteed and you're going into the final. That objective number one is gone, that takes that little bit of pressure away, then you move on to objective number two, which is trying to win the competition, So fatigue and all that, yes, it could have an impact if the game carries on into extra time and things like that. But most of these players coming out onto the pitch here aren't going to be thinking about that. They're going to be thinking about, this is it, guys. This is 90 minutes, 120 minutes, penalty shootouts, whatever it takes. Put everything that you've got into this game, and that applies to both sides as well. So, yeah, that extra day of rest or whatever will be made, has been made a deal of by people in the media. People like us, for example, will be looking at it from the outside and thinking, yeah, it could make a big impact. But once the whistle goes here, it goes out of your mind as a player, and you're just focused on getting the job done. Your tiredness only comes if you lose the match. Right. If you win it, you're not tired, you're not fatigued, forget about all that.
Right. Yeah. So Saudi Arabia, you mentioned, have a great defensive record. They've only conceded one goal so far in this competition. Versus Uzbekistan, who in the last game anyway, you can see their attacking ability. So tactically, how do you see this playing out?
Well, in terms of the lineups wise, Saudi Arabia have just made one change from that Thailand game. Abdulrahman Garib comes in and Khalid Al Ghanam goes out. So it's pretty much Saudi Arabia's strongest side that they could put out here in this competition. And no changes for Uzbekistan, which is something that we expected from Julovic, because he hasn't made too many changes at all to his Uzbekistan side. I really like the fullbacks that they've got. Ali Jonov on the left with an A, Ali Jonov on the right, spelled with an O there. Ilkhom John and Koji Akbar, the two fullbacks for Uzbekistan to get forward and support their side in those attacking positions. Otherwise, keep a lookout for Kadirkulov, Bozorov, players who were getting into really good spaces in behind UAE's midfield in that game, in that quarterfinal tie. Abdulholikov works incredibly hard for them in those forward positions. And Yakshiboev, the number 9, I'd like to see a little bit more from him. I think he can provide a lot more to Uzbekistan with the quality that he has. But if you're looking at overall gameplay, I think it's going to be interesting, because both these sides like to have possession of the ball. They like to try and dominate opposition. They're good in possession as well. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, Saudi Arabia have the fact that they played against Japan and they were a little bit more defensive in that game. About 35% possession they had, but they were very effective defending and they were very effective in counter-attacking situations. So could that be something that they're looking at applying in this game? Uzbekistan, on the other hand, just want to go out and try and impose themselves. So it's going to be fascinating to see. I mean, you look at the midfield battles, Ganiev, Abdullayev, two players who have got that ability to break up opposition play and also spring counter-attacks on their own with the ability to pass the ball forward into the players, up against Ali Sadiq and Mukhtar Ali, the number 14 and number 20 for Saudi Arabia. So fascinating tactical battles all over the park. Abdurrahman Garib going up against Kobilov, for example, Al Kulaif in the spaces in behind Ganiev and Abdullayev. there are big matchups going on all over the pitch here. It's two really good quality sides, and that's what you get at this stage of the competition.
All right, Roshan, thank you so much for that breakdown. An exciting 90 minutes ahead of us. Saudi Arabia versus Uzbekistan kicking off at 5:15 p.m. local time, and we will be back next with the results and review in the post-show.